Hello, Blue Valley community. This is Tonya Merrigan, and I am the proud superintendent in Blue Valley. And I am here today to talk to you about inclement weather and the process that we go through in order to decide if our schools and our facilities should be open or closed. And sitting with me today is Jake Slobodnik.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good. Jake is the executive director of facilities and operations and is my main contact, quite honestly, anytime we have inclement weather. You know, I'm so excited that we've made it through the very first semester with
I
no
know.
either ice or snow. So, Jake, why don't you talk us through the process that we go through when we hear that there's possible weather in the area?
Yeah, it starts with, it's really about a week-long process. We get emails from a company called Weather or Not, and they give us really detailed local forecasts for our region. And we have a team of folks, Tonya Merrigan, our grounds and project coordinator, Matt Brooks, our custodial coordinator, and myself, and we're always looking at the weather. And we're just trying to figure out what's coming, when's it going to come, and it's always a guessing game up until about 3 days. We start to get really detailed forecasts, and then the day before we start to really see what's it going to do and when's it going to hit. So it's just a constant monitoring of what that weather's doing and when it's going to hit us.
And so, what do you do if you know that 24 hours from now there's going to be either ice or snow? What does your team do?
So first thing we have to know is when's it going to hit. And if it's going to hit at midnight, we want to start to create a plan for a pre-treatment in advance. If we can put something down, a brine treatment on the concrete that'll keep freezing from happening, it'll help melt snow when it hits. We want to be out in front of it. We want to be proactive rather than reactive. But again, trying to hit the timing is important. So we don't want it to rain before any of that hits or to wash away that pre-treatment. We have to try to figure out how are we going to get crews in. So our staff's incredible. Our grounds team and our custodians, they come in early. They plan for and just try to prepare for all the possibilities, whether it's ice or snow. We have to be prepared to address it as quickly as we can. So it's figuring out when it's going to hit, what's it going to be, and trying to get there in advance of that and try to take care of it.
So one of the things that really amazed me when I got into the role of superintendent in my first winter through this was that sometimes you have crews all night
All
who are
night.
here.
Yeah, so if we know it's going to hit throughout the night, we might come in at 10 o'clock, we might come in at midnight. They're pushing snow, they're putting salt down all night, and they'll do that until they have every single site, all the parking lots, all the sidewalks and front entries treated. They don't go home until we've got every school as safe as we can possibly make it.
The other thing that we have to be cognizant of is our buses.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what we do with Durham, our contractor, when we again know we have either really cold weather or possible snow?
Yeah, the biggest thing we have to worry about is the cold temperatures. Our buses aren't going to start if it's negative 10 degrees. So we'll bring folks in early. We'll bring our bus drivers in early just to get the buses running. They may run them all night so that we can be prepared to get those things rolling and on the road in the morning. The other thing we do is a group of us are on an email chain with all of our Johnson County Public Works departments, the City of Olathe, City of Leawood, City of Overland Park. We're talking to other Johnson County school districts about what are their plans. Are our streets going to be clear? We can't send our buses out. We don't want to send our kids out, our parents out to drive the roads if those public works entities don't think they'll be ready. Now, they're phenomenal. They always have great plans. They're always ready. It's a little bit of a competition. Who's going to be done first, the Blue Valley team or the city's teams? And luckily, they all do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, one of the things that I hope people are hearing if they're listening to this is how much planning and thought goes into decisions around inclement weather. So I know, for example, here in Blue Valley, you are talking to your colleagues in the city and around the area, the county, and then we have a conversation, again, depending on when the snow or the ice is going to come in, several times trying to decide if we're going to have school, if we're not going to have school.
Yeah.
And that decision is never made lightly. You know, I always joke with people when they ask me what's the hardest thing about being a superintendent, this might be one of them.
It's tough. You want to make the right decision, and you want to make it timely. Nobody wants to get that notification at 5 in the morning right before school starts that, hey, we're canceling school. And so we try to make educated decisions around, as soon as we can, around what's the weather going to look like. And unfortunately, the weather's not a perfect science.
Correct. It isn't a perfect science. And the other thing I would say is that if we, for example, if we can make the decision the night before, if it's just imminent, we will do that to give families as much notice as possible. Sometimes we can't make it until the morning of. And in those cases, what I want, again, our families and those listening to know is that you have people who are driving the roads.
Yeah.
I often get up
Yeah,
at
I know you're out on the
3:30.
road. You and I are texting usually
Yep.
at 3:30, 4 in the morning,
Yep.
talking about what the roads are looking like.
Right. So it's not made lightly. I guess that's my main point there. So even if we have to cancel school, sometimes we have activities or rentals in our buildings that take place. And so you want to talk a little bit about what we do to decide if we're going to have those or not.
Yeah, again, it goes back to timing. If we can get the snow cleared, say by noon, we might have canceled school. Might have been too cold. We might not have been able to get people to our building safely in the morning. But if we can get everything cleared during the day, we will open up our buildings in the afternoons for athletic and performing practices. We might have outside rentals of those facilities. We'll try to get our buildings open. We just have to make sure they're safe. We want to make sure that the roads are safe and our sites are safe before we do that.
Right, and that includes not only just clearing the lot, but probably a little bit harder is making sure the sidewalks are all cleared and de-iced.
The challenge sometimes is we'll clear everything up to our property lines, and if our neighbors aren't clearing their sidewalks, that's a challenge.
Right.
We've actually had custodians clear sidewalks in the past and beyond our property line, and we don't necessarily want to do that, but we'll do everything we can to try to get kids to our buildings as safe as we can.
Yeah. So, again, what I hope people are hearing, I've said this multiple times, is that safety is really what we're looking at is we know it's an inconvenience if we have to cancel school, but I would much rather have somebody angry at me because I canceled school now as opposed to later on. And never, never does it factor in that we might have to go later into the year if it's not safe to come to school. If it's not safe to come to school because of the weather, we're going to cancel every single time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Jacob, I want to thank you and all of your team for everything that they do because it is a week-long process usually with weather, and you guys are always making sure that our schools are safe and that it's feasible for us to open. And so, again, thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, I just want to thank our team. We've got an incredible team on our grounds and custodial side, and even our maintenance guys step in sometimes. And if anybody's out driving around in the middle of the night and you see them, give them a honk and a wave and thank them for all they do because they're the ones who really make it happen behind the scenes.
Okay. Thanks, Jake.
Yep,
and thank you to our listeners. And this is Tonya Merrigan signing off.